We are back with another episode, perhaps the best episode of the Trainwell podcast, where we inspire you to get stronger, move more, and to most importantly, have fun. We have some of our best trainers on the mics with us. Mics are hot. We're going to give you guys a lot of content in a very short amount of time. And the way it's going to work is we're going to ask all these trainers questions, very simple questions, but with complex answers in my mind, and very common topics that you will see or you will hear about, from cold plunges to more cardio to more muscle, etc. So D, how are we going to kick this thing off?
Well, I would like everyone to just briefly introduce themselves so we know, so the listener knows who we have here. So let's start with Andrew. Say your name and your brief bio.
Yeah, Andrew here. Have been a trainer here at Trainwell for going on 4 years now. Trainer at large for over a decade. Master's degree in all this, and love it, and work with a variety of populations over the years.
And Andrew's been on the podcast before, so you may remember and recognize him. We know you've been desperately wanting him to come back. Let's kick it off to Derek.
Yeah, my name is Derek. I've been training for 10 years now. I actually just recertified for the 5th time, so that's always fun. But yeah, I've been with Trainwell for a year and a half now, and my background is primarily in injury rehab and medical fitness.
Dana.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana. I've been with Trainwell for about 2 years. And I'm a rugby athlete, so that's kind of what got me interested in strength and conditioning and personal training. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys.
Veronica.
I have been at Trainwell, I think also about 2 years, just like Dana. And I come from a non-sports background, more of a performing arts background. I used to be a ballet dancer and various other types of dance. And I work a lot with the moms-to-be and the postnatal community, along with all different kinds of people who are looking to get stronger and more fit.
Awesome. Last but certainly not least, Lauren.
Hey everyone, I'm Lauren. I've been at Trainwell for right over 3 years. I just do a lot of things. I work with a lot of different clients. I've helped them reach their goals for a multitude of things, but some different backgrounds for me specifically is I was a college athlete. I played softball in college and then went on to play semi-pro softball. I've also been a competitive bodybuilder throughout my years. So just a little bit of everything, but I've definitely helped clients reach different goals between fat loss, but also some performance type of goals as well.
We got such a great cast here, don't we, D? I think
Yes, we do.
I think it's easy to overlook the talent we have in this one call. Like, we easily have over 100 years in front of us. So with that, I think we should kick it off with some knowledge bombs. Derek, since you're a corrective exercise guru, I want to start with this. And Darian and I talk about technique Timmy a lot, okay? But here's the question. Is perfect form overrated?
That is an excellent question. And no, with the caveat that perfect form for that individual. So, I mean, obviously, dealing with different injuries and different imbalances and stuff, some people might need adaptations. I am not a believer that there is one perfect form for every single person, but I think every individual can achieve perfect form for themselves.
Well said. Darian, you what do you think about technique Timmy in perfect form?
I think I agree with Derek. I always think it's something to strive for. You want to strive for good form, but most importantly, you want to be safe. So I don't think if your form's not perfect, it should hold you back from trying out new movements, doing important movement patterns. Just pay attention to load and how your body's feeling. That's how I feel.
Okay, let me pose you with this, Derek. If you have, let's just say you have a client who's, they don't even care about form whatsoever, and they just want to hammer it all the time. What's one little nuanced thing you can tell them to stop and check themselves before they wreck themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think we've all kind of ran into that before. People who just want to push, 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 push. I mean, I think you still have to have. I mean, your core engaged is typically number one. Like if your core is engaged throughout the movements that you're doing, a lot of times you're going to be in a pretty good spot. Obviously, there's nuance to that as well, but like at a base level, having your core engaged, your hips engaged, your joints engaged, and not having like your knees like locked and stuff like that, like those are all really little things that will set you up for success in a lot of movements.
Unlike me when we were benching and my shoulder freaking hurt for a couple days after. All
And
right,
I told you to stop and you didn't listen at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have worried about that. D, what we got next?
Okay, I want to move to a question that I think our listeners are going to really care about, which I personally have a lot of internal conflict with. But I'm gonna first ask for Lauren's take on this because I think she's gonna have an interesting answer about it. When a client comes to you who has fat loss goals, do you start with strength training or cardio or conditioning?
And just to make sure that I'm hearing that correctly, do you mean starting with it in the workout itself or as the plan itself?
As the plan. Like it's like,
okay.
I want to lose, let's say they come to you and they're like, I really want to lose fat, so I'm going to start doing blank. What would you suggest?
It is interesting. The way that I answer this is, funny enough, I talk about pie when I answer this. I say there are multiple pieces to the pie that add up for the whole pie. And if you only take one piece of it, then you don't have the whole pie, which is actually really funny when you think about fat loss and eating pie. But the point that I'm trying to make is you need both. You need both. And that also, without going into nutrition on this point too much, you also need nutrition. You also need mobility and some type of recovery. And there's a lot more aspects to it than just one or the other. But if we're going into it, what I would highly recommend is definitely having a good strength training program. The more muscle you have, the more calories at rest you burn, which essentially means you can lose more body fat just sitting here if you have more muscle and that, or have a higher metabolism, which is key. But we also do want to add cardio in to help burn some additional calories, especially during that fat loss phase.
I have a burning question I want to ask Dana, strength and conditioning wise. All right, next question. And Andrew, you're going to be the rebuttal on this one because I know you're Mike Boyle certified. All right, Dana, are Olympic lifts worth it for non-athletes? Is the ROI on it good or bad? Is it positive? Is it negative? What do you think?
I don't think it's necessary for people to learn unless they want to because they're interested in the movement itself and they enjoy it. Or it's a very Olympic weightlifting is like very tedious and there is always something to improve on in it. And form is very important for Olympic weightlifting and staying safe in the movement. But if your goal is to get fast quickly and you can do it in an easier way if you don't have the technical skills to do a clean or a snatch, you can have likely better outcomes by doing like trap bar jumps, like weighted jumps. So other sort of plyometric movements that produce power, but in a less technical way. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like there's other exercises you can choose. I'm curious to hear Andrew's thoughts on this.
Yeah, for non-athletes, I agree completely. There's the need for power training and that explosive quickness is huge for anyone, athlete or non-athlete, but there's a lot easier, faster ways you can start training versus spending all this time learning a specific exercise versus just get in there and do something simple day one. So I'd go the other options as well.
That being said, I love Olympic lifts and I do think they're fun to learn.
I agree. It is really fun, but that hook grip, my goodness. Okay, here's a good question. If someone's limited on time, which like who isn't, right? But let's say they feel, we've all had clients come to us like, I just don't have the time. Their main issue is finding the time. So if they have a limited time, let's say like 20 minutes, they only have 20 minutes in their schedule. that they can find. What do you think they should do? Should they prioritize like getting their steps in? Should they prioritize doing a lift? Should they prioritize interval training? Where are they going with that? In terms of movement, what do you think, Veronica?
I think you can get a really effective lift done in 20 minutes, focusing on compound lifts, which just means, layman's term, multiple joints are being used. So things like your squats, your chest press. And I really do believe that in that 20 minutes, you're going to get the most value from something like a really efficient lift versus walking for 20 minutes, which, maybe you can find a way to tie that in throughout your day by grocery shopping or when you go and pick up your kid. So that's my opinion.
All right, Lauren, kicking off to you. Talk to me about zone 2 versus HIIT training. What do you think? Is it overhyped HIIT training? Is it worth it? Is it worth the joint stress? Is it worth the nervous system stress? Talk to us on zone 2 versus HIIT.
I totally think HIIT is way overrated. I think that zone 2 is better for longevity in general. I think that there is a place for HIIT, and I do think it can be fun from time to time to like add in and, get your heart rate up and spiked from time to time. But to do that on an everyday basis, I think too many people do that or sign up for these group classes that's all they offer. And then they wonder why they're not seeing as much progress as they were hoping for. And also in longevity reasons as well, and like how they're feeling.
Yeah, totally. Darian has a really good take on like Orange Theory classes and those kind of classes. So Darian, tell us what you think about those HIIT marketed workouts. Are they good? Are they bad? Should we just strength train? What do you think?
Well, I think you and I have a similar feeling about these classes is they're not really HIIT classes because they're like 45 minutes and you cannot maintain a true HIIT, true high intensity cannot be maintained for 45 minutes. So these classes are more hitting that moderate intensity zone, which really is just serving, especially at a certain age, especially for women, if we're like nearing like late 30s perimenopause, that area, doing true HIIT, true high intensity, which is very short. It can only be sustained for a very short period of time, a couple times a week, maybe up to 3 times a week. Great. But if you're going to a class like an Orange Theory, like an F45, also very, very fun. But depending on the reason you're going, it might not be right for you because it is actually getting you in that moderate intensity zone with higher cortisol levels. And, we're all stressed. We need those opportunities for the cortisol levels to come down.
Yeah, I think cortisol is high in most people. I think you walk around without even realizing it until you get your blood work done. You're like, oh, wow.
Okay, here's a good one. I don't know if this is something like Veronica super cares about, but it's something I super care about. And I could talk for hours on this. And I'm going to change the question a little bit. It said like macro tracking or intuitive eating, but I'm just going to go with any form of like dieting or diet protocol versus intuitive eating.
Here's my opinion. I think it's very beneficial if you have zero knowledge on what you are putting in your body from a macro perspective. It's very beneficial to, at some point in your life, for even 1 month of your life or 2 weeks of your life, track so that you understand the value calorically and in terms of macronutrients of what you're putting in your body, just to have that knowledge base. I do not think it is a sustainable lifestyle. I don't think it is healthy both mentally and just realistically to continue tracking every single thing you put in your body food wise for an extended period of time. So after that initial learning period where you learn the value of food, then move into intuitive eating and implement what you've learned. That's my opinion.
I like the opinion. I think it's a good opinion. This is my only place like I differ slightly is I think any form of tracking or restriction where you're on a protocol can very quickly slide into a disordered eating issue, especially if you have a history of it, either yourself or in your family. So I think you got to be very careful and tune into how you're feeling. If you are going to do a learning period where you are going to track, how are you feeling? How is this affecting you? Are you having preoccupation about food? Are you feeling obsessive about it? Is it taking away from your life in any way? And if so, highly recommend stopping immediately. I think it's a dangerous game to play, but I can see for some people the learning value in it.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think that, yes, you have to make sure you are being specific about catering this to you. And if you know that you have a tendency to slip into anything that would be not beneficial, then stop. But even just learning about food in general, like what is a fat, what is a carb, and just kind of understanding is really valuable without placing value on those foods you're putting in your body. It's just learning. It's like science.
Yeah, I think a big part of that too is being really honest with yourself about why you're doing it and like remembering that. So it's like you're not judging yourself or shaming yourself for what's on your plate. You're learning and really using it as a learning opportunity. I think that's really important because if you're being honest with yourself about why you're doing it, sometimes it's deeper than what it seems like on the surface. And I think exactly what Darian said, if you're noticing any anxiety or any shame or any like negativity around it, then it's best to go with a more intuitive approach. And you can still learn a lot with like you learn a lot intuitively as well. And it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be precise. Using your hand as a measurement for your protein intake, your fats, your carbs, like just getting a very general gist helps a lot too.
I probably need more shaming in my life because I'll take that Snickers bar and just gone. All right,
There's no
Andrew,
problem with that, Joey. That's
I
extra
agree.
fuel.
It sounds great to me.
especially being a wrestler with cutting weight, I've earned that Snickers bar, you know. Okay, Andrew, talk to us about cold plunges. Are they even useful? Like, what's the deal with them? What's your take on them? And what's your protocol? Like, if you do say they're great, like, do you stay in there for like, 2 hours, 3 hours, or like 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah, this is a do as I say, not as I do moment. I love ice baths. In college, I think I took one probably every day. I was a college athlete. Even in the off season, we just go in just to take one. I loved everything about it. There's no good research showing it's good for you, and there's a little bit of decent research showing it might actually be detrimental to you. So probably best to avoid it. It slows down muscle growth. It actually slows down long-term recovery based off the limited research looking at it. But I still love it and think it feels great. So do as I say, not as I do, because I'll be in the ice bath one way or another.
Does anyone here hate ice baths? Lauren, what's your take?
Oh, I hate them. I've hated them since college. They would definitely try to make us go in there, and I would avoid at all costs. I remember this one time we were out on the road, and it was freezing outside, guys. I mean, it must have been in the 40s or something, and we stopped at a hotel, and they had us all get into the pool outside. I literally thought I was going to quit softball that day, but we made it through. But yeah, it has never been my favorite thing, and it was always interesting. They would have us, I just think some of these approaches can be a little bit absurd, but they would have us hop into the cold bath and then immediately hop into the hot tub. And I was like, this is crazy. So I think there's a lot of other ways that you can, work on your recovery. Like, let's talk about sleep. Let's talk about nutrition. Let's talk about water intake. And you don't have to do these crazy kind of protocols and such.
And women, they say, should not be going in as cold of a cold plunge as like a male would do. So that's like a huge plus if you want to do it, ladies. It doesn't have to be as cold. I wonder if our listeners remember that last year I started cold plunging in the river every month. That is not something I'm doing again this year.
Do we have any Wim Hof fans?
I'm a fan. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, super cool guy. I am curious. I actually don't know, so I'm curious if anyone knows about the research with like mental health benefits or any other benefits that aren't necessarily like in terms of recovery, but in terms of like managing anxiety. Because I know like when you get in that ice, you're like you suck in a lot of air, right? And it's kind of like it gets taken out of you, so you have to really be intentional about your breathing. So I don't know, but I'd be curious about those benefits too.
You can be like me one time when I fell through the ice fishing. I don't think I've gotten out of the water more fast. It was like a cartoon, like where like shot up. And all I remember is that that air you take in, that's real. I've heard like you're supposed to get naked and just like do like push-ups and like increase your body temperature. So if you're an ice fisherman out there, there you go. Get naked, do some calisthenics to warm up.
In the water?
No, out of the water. Out of the water, ideally.
Okay.
Ideally.
Should we do our next question, or do we want to stay on Joey doing naked push-ups? I think we could move on personally.
Yeah,
Okay, let's see here. Okay, I kind of hate this question, but I'm going to ask it. Anyone can take it. Is 3 days a week enough for a body transformation? I'll just say I don't even think body transformations are like a real thing, but I do think a lot of people think I can only do 3 days a week, or I can only do 2 days a week. Should I even bother?
Okay, well, I mean, I would say 3 times a week is fantastic. If you can do 3 times a week and fit that in with your like other typical week responsibilities, 3 times a week is awesome. 1 time a week is awesome. I think that a lot of people think more is better, and that's really not the case. Training is stress. It is strain. It is a form of stress. And the time that we actually get stronger and the time that we actually progress is in that period of rest and recovery. So that is just as important as having the training. I think that, there's a lot of stressors externally outside of training. And when those come up, your training should go down in terms of overall like stress management. So I think it's important to look at the full picture and not just your training, but what's going on outside of life too, so you can find that proper balance of recovery and training.
Well, my short answer was you should bother with any amount of physical activity that you can be consistent with. 5 minutes or 3 times a week. I also personally train 3 days a week, and I've noticed aesthetic changes in my own body on that type of training when it's done progressively, when it's done to the right intensity. So short answer, you should absolutely bother. I do think when people traditionally think of like a transformation, like a huge aesthetic shift, you're going from looking one way to looking another way aesthetically. I think there are more components that must come into play, but none of those components have to do with your training 3 days a week. Yes, that can be an effective part of that body transformation, but we have to think of our life as 24/7. What you do 24/7 does play a part in aesthetically how you appear, including nutrition and recovery, sleep, of course.
Ooh, I want to talk about that. Great points, Veronica. Okay, because this just made me come up with a question, and I'm gonna go out to the phones. Let's go to D-Rock. All right, Derek, you have a client who's just wants to lose weight, right? They're focused on fat loss. They got a report from their doctor like you need to lose some subcutaneous fat. It's becoming a health issue. Rank them in order. Okay, this is a tough one. Let's add 5. Nutrition, sleep, strength training, cardio, and your stress management. Try to rank, or what are your top 3 in order?
I mean, if you're wanting to lose body fat, nutrition is going to be number one. That's going to be the thing that is going to directly affect it. You have to be in a calorie deficit. You do have to do a lot of work on that. Sleep, I'm going to say, is right behind there at number 2. Like, a lot of people don't sleep enough. Sleep is where our body does so much work, and it's where recovery is. Like, if you're not sleeping enough, your body's not able to reset. Your hormones can be off. Like, a lot of the other work that you're doing is going to be affected. Right behind that, I'm going to go strength training, because I think strength training can also help with stress management, but stress management is important as well. But like, if you can only choose between strength training and cardio, I'd go strength training all day. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to increase your metabolism by increasing your muscle mass. And you're, at the end of the day, even if you don't lose as much body fat as like you were hoping, you're going to feel better and stronger and move more, and you can continue on longer. You can also keep body fat off longer as well, which is important.
Yeah, I think people don't realize the importance of nutrition, especially for, fat loss. They think they can. I always tell clients, you can't outrun a donut, honey. It just ain't going to work. Darian, give us your take on that.
Well, wait, I'm confused about the question. They went to their doctor and their doctor said, you need to lose fat, or their doctor said, like, we're looking at some bad blood markers here. Not so great. We need to get healthier.
Well, let's just simplify it and say that they need to lose weight.
I think you need to find a new doctor.
I knew you'd say
Truthfully,
that.
you need to find a new doctor. Because if your doctor tells you that your weight is the reason for your bad blood markers, or I'm not saying that right. It's not a bad blood marker, but your negative blood results, it's not your weight. Anyone can be healthy at any weight. You truly can. It's the habits, it's the actions you're taking day in and day out. So if your doctor sees your blood markers and notices your weight and says to you, you need to lose weight, they're not doing their job. That's being lazy. They need to ask you some real questions about your lifestyle and figure out what you're doing and support you. They need to hand you a QR code to sign up for Trainwell and say, hey, let's work on getting some more physical activity in. Meet with a trainer from Trainwell. They need to ask you about your sleep. They need to ask you about your nutrition, your lifestyle, what's going on in your life, what you have access to. So that's my take on that.
Lauren, what you think? Do we need new doctors?
I mean, it is kind of awkward when a doctor, tells you that. And I do actually agree with Darian to an extent. Although I do think that there are some, it is related to your habits at the end of the day, but I do think like being overweight does create some issues in life in general and health, or it can be health related, but they all kind of go hand in hand. I don't know that I would, well, I think it would depend on sorry. I think it just depends, okay? I'm sorry, it just depends.
There it is. Listeners, to give you context, I told them not to say it depends because that's the answer for every fitness question. We're running out of time, though, so let's go with 2 more questions. Dee, you ask one, and I'll ask a final one, and then we can go with the run around.
I want to hear what Dana thinks.
Yeah, I want to add something really quick. It's okay. I want to add something to that. So I had a teammate in rugby. She's on the USA national rugby team, okay? And her doctor told her that her BMI is too high and she needs to lose weight. And so she left her doctor because that doesn't give you a full picture of the person, of their habits, of their muscles, of like what their week actually looks like and what their habits actually look like. So I am a big time fan of what Darian said about finding a new doctor, because that's not telling the full picture. That's not proper care, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dana. I agree.
I want to jump in here too. One, I think we have a whole healthcare issue that doesn't allow for doctors to get there. But I love using myself as an example on this. I as of yesterday, I'm 260 pounds, and like my BMI, yeah, I am like critically like obese level 2 or whatever. But I think we also have to understand BMI is really good for risk stratification in healthcare, and it breaks down at the individual level. So I think that's where you have to dive deeper. You have to look at body composition, body fat percentage, and all of that, because I might be 260, but I like to say I'm a dense 260, and not in a bad way. But so weight itself is not a good indicator of health. There's like everyone else is saying, there's a lot of other factors that play into there.
I want to go back really quick to the 5 things though, Joey, because I want to hear Andrew's ordering of those 5 things.
Yeah, I agreed with Derek's order of like what will move the needle the most for weight loss, as it was of nutrition, then sleep, then strength training. I would not start with someone in that order though. I would actually start strength training, cardio / conditioning, and then nutrition, because I'd rather stack up quick, easy wins, and changing nutrition is very tough. Changing sleep is even tougher. So I'd rather get the easy wins first, build the momentum, and then tackle the tough stuff at the end.
I would have never thought of that. There's Andrew with his analytical thinking and process learning. That's why you're efficiency manager. And listeners, if you haven't worked out with Derek, he is incredibly athletic. He like 260 of just stone, man. Well, we're coming up on time. I'm getting sad. So Darian, I'll leave it with you with your last question. We hope to have you guys on next time. Please come on. But Dee, what we got?
Okay, my last question. I really want to go around and ask everybody a personal question. We're going to get real personal. No, we're not. I just want to know, what is your favorite breakfast? And it looks like Veronica's internet went out again, so she might not be able to answer this, but you're going to get favorite breakfast from 6 different people. Let's kick it off first to Lauren. Favorite breakfast?
Well, I've been eating this every day for definitely the past year. Through prep, through life, through everything. It is called a cobbler bowl. It's my own creation. You can actually find it on the Trainwell Instagram. It was posted on there. But basically what it is it's berries, like frozen berries. It has to be frozen. You warm them up in the microwave. They end up becoming like very cobbler-like. I add cottage cheese on there for my protein. I add a little bit of peanut butter, and then I add some cinnamon, and then a little bit of whipped cream because, balance. And that is my breakfast every day. And it's so good. Highly recommend.
Love it. Let's go to Veronica in case she accidentally leaves the call again. Your favorite breakfast?
I'm such a creature of habit, so I eat the same thing every day. It's 2 eggs scrambled with cottage cheese, piece of sourdough toast, and usually on the side I have Greek yogurt and berries. Easy.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm taking this a different way. In my hometown, there's this diner, shout out Charlie Parker's. They are known for these pancakes that they make. They're the size of like a vinyl record. They use 3 pounds of batter per pancake. So I go there, I order my omelet, which is like 3 or 4 egg omelet, sausage inside. You get the hash browns, you get the toast. And then I order the 2 stack of the pancakes. And every time I do it, whoever's serving me has got to be like, I don't know if you've ever been here. This pancakes are this big. Like, that's a lot. I'm like, I've been here. I know what I'm doing. Just give it to me. Every time I have to convince him I can handle it. And then I get the chocolate chips added in, then the syrup, and it's the most amazing meal ever. And then I got to pass out for a few hours after. But it's a great Saturday routine.
I have so many questions. Sorry, but one. That goes all down in one sitting, or we're saving some for the rest of the week?
Oh, no. I eat every last bite, and every time at the end they come back up, and they're always shocked that I ate it all.
Do they have your picture up in the diner?
I'm actually going for it. They have a challenge, and you have to eat like 6 of these pancakes, and they're like the size of like a giant extra large pizza. You have to eat 6 of them by yourself, and you get your name on the wall. Only 2 people in history have done it, and one got escorted out by the ambulance. So I'm in training for that one day. It's been a goal of mine for like a decade or 2.
When you accomplish that goal, we'll have you back on the podcast.
It's been a year so far since my last appearance, so I hope I do it within the next year.
Dana?
I have the same thing every morning. Also, Andrew, when you go next time, please take a picture so we can see the scale of the pancakes. I have toast, usually sourdough or like some sort of seedy bread with avocado, and then 2 fried eggs, and then Trader Joe's sweet and hot jalapenos with turkey bacon and some Valentina's hot sauce on top. And that is an everyday staple item for me.
That's legit. Derek?
Yeah, I love breakfast. It's probably my favorite food. Like, not to like a Ron Swanson, like Parks and Rec level, but breakfast food would definitely be my go-to. I also did not get 260 by not liking to eat. Daily, I try to keep it pretty simple. A couple eggs, maybe some toast or some oatmeal to get some carbs in there because I usually work out immediately after. But once a week, we very much do like a Saturday breakfast where it's either like homemade pancakes, homemade waffles, eggs, sausage, ham. Like, it's definitely like a full breakfast. I do try and limit myself to that 2 once a week, but breakfast food is by far my favorite.
Love it. Me too. I love breakfast. 3 scrambled eggs, sourdough toast, berries, sometimes a yogurt. Veronica, we have the same breakfast. I feel so excited about it.
You guys are connected. Well, guys, thank you so much. I know we went over. Thank you so much. We know you're extremely, extremely busy. So thank you for your wisdom and your thoughts. And we'll see you all next time on the Trainwell podcast.
Check our show notes. 14 days free. Get your very own personal trainer.
Adios.